Outpost 7 floated at the edge of known space. It was not a famous place. It was not an important place. It was the kind of station where the galaxy sent things it wanted to forget: old equipment, broken ships, and young cadets who had not yet proven themselves. Ho was one of those cadets. He was 22 years old and he had been on Outpost 7 for 3 months. Every day felt the same. Wake up, eat the same gray food, clean the same hallways, sleep, repeat. He had joined the Galactic Fleet to see the stars, to have adventures, to be a hero. Instead, he scrubbed floors and sorted cargo. Today was no different, or so he thought. Ho, get to Cargo Bay 4 now. The voice came from the station's speaker system. It was Commander and he did not sound happy. But then again, Commander never sounded happy. He was a tall man with a face that looked like it had forgotten how to smile many years ago. The other cadets were scared of him. Ho was not scared exactly. He was more tired of being yelled at. He put down his cleaning tool and walked to the cargo bay. The station was quiet today. Most of the crew were sleeping or doing their own boring tasks. The hallways were long and gray, like everything else on Outpost 7. When Ho arrived at Cargo Bay 4, he found 2 other cadets already there. And they were his friends, or at least the closest thing he had to friends on this station. They had all arrived at the same time, all been given the same boring jobs, and all been treated like children by the older crew members. That was why everyone called them the Cubs. It was not meant as a nice name. It meant they were young, weak, not ready for real work. Ho hated that name, but there was nothing he could do about it. "What is happening?" Ho asked. Pointed at the center of the cargo bay. "That." Ho looked. There was a large metal crate sitting on the floor. It was about 2 meters tall and covered in dents and scratches. The metal was dark gray, almost black, and there were strange marks on its surface that Ho did not recognize. "A supply ship dropped it off an hour ago," said. He was the biggest of the 3 Cubs with wide shoulders and strong arms, but he had a gentle face and a kind voice. "Nobody knows what is inside. The manifest just says unknown salvage." Unknown salvage. Ho walked closer to the crate. "Where did it come from?" "That is the strange part," said. She was the of the 3, always reading, always asking questions. Her eyes were bright with curiosity. "The supply ship found it floating in dead space. No ship nearby, no signal, just this crate floating alone." Ho felt a small spark of interest. This was different. This was not cleaning floors or sorting old equipment. This was a mystery. "Commander wants us to open it," said. "He said it is probably junk, but we need to check." "Why us?" Ho asked. Shrugged. "Because we are the Cubs. We get all the jobs nobody else wants." Ho sighed. Of course. Even a mystery came with an insult. The 3 cadets gathered around the crate. Up close, Ho could see the strange marks more clearly. They were not random scratches. They were symbols carved into the metal with great care. Each symbol was different: circles, lines, dots arranged in patterns. They looked old, very old. "I have never seen writing like this," said. She touched one of the symbols gently. "It is not from any species I know." "Maybe it is from a species that does not exist anymore," said. His voice was quiet, almost nervous. Ho found the crate's opening mechanism. It was a simple latch, but it was stuck. Rust had built up around it and the metal was bent. He pulled hard, using all his strength, came to help, and together they forced the latch open. The crate's door fell forward with a loud crash. Dust flew everywhere. The 3 cadets coughed and waved their hands, trying to see through the cloud. When the dust settled, they saw what was inside. It was not junk. In the center of the crate sat an object unlike anything Ho had ever seen. It was about the size of a human head, shaped like a sphere but with many flat surfaces, like a gem with too many sides. The surface was smooth and dark, like polished stone, but it glowed. A soft blue light pulsed from somewhere deep inside, like a heartbeat. "What is that?" whispered. Nobody answered. They all stared at the strange sphere. The blue light pulsed slowly, again and again. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Stepped closer, her face was full of wonder. It is some kind of device, an artifact maybe, from an ancient civilization. Do not touch it, Ho said quickly. We should tell Commander first. But was not listening. She reached out her hand, her fingers moving toward the glowing surface. Wait. Her fingertips touched the sphere. The blue light flashed brighter. For 1 second the entire cargo bay was filled with brilliant blue light, so bright that Ho had to close his eyes. He heard shout in surprise. Then the light faded. Ho opened his eyes. The sphere was still there, still glowing, but something had changed. The surface was now covered with moving symbols, the same strange marks that had been carved on the crate, but now they were alive, shifting and changing, floating across the sphere's surface like fish swimming in dark water. Are you okay? Ho grabbed his arm. What happened? Was staring at the sphere with wide eyes. I am fine. I felt something, like electricity but not painful. It was reading me. Reading you? Looked scared. What does that mean? Before could answer, the sphere made a sound. A low hum filled the cargo bay, vibrating through the floor and the walls. The symbols on its surface began to arrange themselves into a pattern, a grid of lights, some bright, some dark, constantly shifting. Ho felt his heart beating fast. This was not like the stories of adventure he had imagined. This was real. This was dangerous. They were 3 young cadets on a forgotten station, and they had just awakened something ancient. We need to tell the commander, he said, right now. But as he turned to leave, the sphere hummed again. The symbols shifted, and a new light appeared in the air above it, a projection of some kind, floating like a ghost. It showed a shape that Ho recognized. A puzzle, lines and dots and circles, arranged in a pattern that needed to be solved. Smiled, I think it wants us to play. The projection floated in the air like a dream made of light. It showed a grid of symbols, circles within circles, dots connected by thin lines, patterns that seemed to move even when they were still. The blue glow from the sphere made everything in the cargo bay look strange and ghostly. Ho stared at the puzzle. His first thought was that they should run. His second thought was that they should call Commander. His third thought was that this was the most interesting thing that had happened to him since he joined the fleet. We should not play with this, he said, but his voice was weak. Even he did not believe his own words. Was already studying the projection. Her eyes moved quickly, following the lines and symbols. Look at the structure, she said. It is not random. There is a logic to it. See how these circles connect. They form a sequence. Moved closer, his large body casting a shadow over the glowing sphere. I do not understand any of this, he admitted. It just looks like lights to me. That is because you are not looking correctly, said. She was not being mean. She was just focused, her mind already working on the problem. Think of it like a map. Each symbol is a location. The lines are paths between locations. We need to find the right path. Ho felt something strange happening in his chest. The puzzle was calling to him, like a song he had heard long ago and almost forgotten. The patterns were familiar somehow, though he could not explain why. I have seen something like this before, he said quietly. And both looked at him. What do you mean? Asked. Ho walked closer to the projection. He reached out his hand and his fingers passed through the light. It felt warm, like touching sunlight. My grandmother, he said. When I was a child, she taught me games. Puzzle games with patterns and symbols. She said they were very old, passed down in our family for many generations. Your grandmother taught you alien puzzles, sounded confused. No, not alien, human, but the structure is the same. Ho pointed at a cluster of circles in the corner of the grid. See this. In my grandmother's game, this pattern meant beginning. You always start from here. His eyes went wide. You can read this. Not read, feel. Ho touched the glowing circles and they moved. The projection shifted, the symbols rearranging themselves. A soft chime came from the sphere. I am right. This is the starting point. The three cadets gathered closer together. The cargo bay was cold, but Ho did not notice any more. All he could see was the puzzle. All he could feel was the warmth of the light. What do we do next? Asked. Ho looked at the new arrangement of symbols. The puzzle had changed after he touched the starting point. Now there were multiple paths leading outward, each one marked with different patterns. We need to find the correct path, he said, but I do not know which one is right. Maybe we need to think about what the puzzle is asking, said. She was walking around the projection, looking at it from different angles. Every puzzle has a question, a goal. What is this one trying to achieve? Ho thought about his grandmother's games. She had always said that puzzles were not just about finding answers. They were about understanding questions. What does the puzzle want? She would ask. Not what do you want, what does it want? He looked at the sphere. The blue light pulsed steadily, patiently. It had been waiting in that crate for who knew how long, floating in empty space, alone. And now it was here, glowing and humming, showing them this puzzle. It wants to be solved, Ho said, but not just solved, it wants to know if we can understand it. A test, whispered, it is testing us. Scratched his head, testing us for what? Nobody had an answer for that. They worked together, was the best at seeing the big picture, at understanding how all the pieces connected. She would point out patterns that Ho had missed, relationships between symbols that seemed unrelated at first. Was not as quick with his mind, but he had good instincts. When they got stuck, he would say something simple like, try the other way or go back to the beginning, and often he was right. Ho was the one who touched the puzzle, who moved the symbols and tested the paths. His grandmother's training guided his hands, even though he had not played those old games in many years. The memories came back slowly, like water seeping through cracks in a wall. They made progress. Each correct move caused the sphere to chime softly and glow a little brighter. Each wrong move caused the symbols to flash red and return to their previous positions. There was no punishment for mistakes, only the chance to try again. I think I understand now, said after many minutes of work. This is not just one puzzle, it is many puzzles layered on top of each other. Each time we solve one layer, we reveal the next. How many layers are there? Asked. Bit her lip. I do not know, many, I think. They kept working. The cargo bay was silent except for the hum of the sphere and the soft chimes of correct answers. Time seemed to stop. Ho forgot about Commander, forgot about his boring life on Outpost 7, forgot about everything except the beautiful patterns of light floating in front of him. The puzzle began to change faster now. The symbols moved quickly and the cadets had to think quickly to keep up, but they did not feel rushed. Instead, they felt excited, alive. This was what Ho had wanted when he joined the fleet. Not adventure in the sense of danger and battles, but adventure in the sense of discovery, finding something new, understanding something that no one had understood before. There, pointed, that symbol, it appeared 3 times already. I think it is the key to this layer. Ho touched the symbol. It glowed brightly and the entire grid shifted. A new pattern emerged, more complex than before but somehow more beautiful. The 3 cubs laughed with joy. We are doing it, said. His eyes were bright. We are actually doing it. Ho smiled. For the first time in months he felt happy. They worked faster now, their minds working together like parts of a single machine. Would see the pattern, Ho would test the path, would catch their mistakes. Layer after layer fell away, revealing more of the puzzle's heart. And then suddenly, the puzzle changed completely. All the symbols disappeared. The projection went dark. For a terrible moment, Ho thought they had broken it. But then a new image appeared. It was not a puzzle this time. It was a picture. A map of some kind, showing stars and planets and lines connecting them. In the center of the map was a single point, glowing brighter than all the others. "What is that?" whispered. Leaned closer, her face full of wonder. I think we found what it was hiding." The sphere hummed loudly. The blue light pulsed faster, and then words appeared in the air, not in any language the cadets knew, but somehow they understood them anyway. The meaning flowed directly into their minds, like memories they had always had but forgotten. "Congratulations," the words said. "You have proven your worth. The gift is yours." Ho felt a chill run down his back. "What gift?" he asked aloud. The sphere answered, but not with words, with action. The blue light expanded, washing over the three cadets like warm water. Ho felt something change inside his mind, a new connection forming, a door opening that he had not known existed. And then he heard it, a voice, but the voice was not speaking to him. It was him. It was his own thoughts, amplified and projected outward. He looked at it. Their faces showed the same shock he felt. "Can you hear me?" he thought. And they nodded. They could. The cargo bay was quiet. The blue light from the sphere had faded to a soft glow, but something had changed in the air, something invisible but powerful. Ho stood very still. His mind felt different, larger somehow, like a room that had suddenly grown new walls and new doors. He could feel things he had never felt before, the cold metal of the floor beneath his feet, the hum of the station's power systems far away, the heartbeats of and standing beside him. And their thoughts. He could feel their thoughts brushing against his own mind like gentle winds. "This is impossible," thought. His mental voice was just like his spoken voice, gentle and a little worried. "Many things are impossible until they happen," thought back. Her mental voice was sharp and curious, like a knife cutting through confusion. "The sphere has connected us somehow. Our minds are linked." Ho tried to understand. The puzzle had been a test. They had passed the test. And now the sphere had given them a gift. But what kind of gift turned three separate minds into one shared space? He looked at the sphere. It sat quietly on its base, the symbols on its surface now still and dark. But it was not dead. He could feel it somehow, like a sleeping animal, waiting. "What are you?" he asked, not with his voice but with his mind. The sphere answered, not with words but with images. Ho saw flashes of memory that did not belong to him, ancient ships traveling through dark space, a civilization that spread across thousands of stars, scientists and builders and dreamers who created wonders beyond imagination. And then destruction, war, fire falling from the sky, a great emptiness spreading across the galaxy like a disease. The images faded. Ho was breathing hard. His eyes were wet, though he did not know why. "They are gone," said quietly. She had seen the same visions. "The civilization that made this sphere, they died long ago." "But they left this behind," added. "Why, what is it for?" The sphere showed them another image. This one was clearer, like a lesson being taught to young students. Ho saw a picture of the sphere itself, surrounded by alien figures. The aliens were touching the sphere, and lines of light connected their heads. A command device, realized. It was made to control things, ships, machines, maybe even other beings. But it only works if you solve the puzzle first, if you prove you are smart enough. Ho felt a cold feeling in his stomach. Control things, what kind of things? The sphere did not answer, but it did not need to, because at that moment the cargo bay door opened. Commander stood in the doorway. His face was red with anger. His uniform was perfect as always, and his back was straight like a metal rod. He looked at the three cadets, then at the glowing sphere, and his eyes went wide. "What have you done?" he shouted. His voice echoed off the metal walls. "I told you to check the cargo, not to play with it. Do you have any idea how much trouble you are in?" Ho opened his mouth to explain, but Commander was not interested in explanations. He marched into the cargo bay, his boots making loud sounds on the floor. His anger filled the room like heat from a fire. "You cubs are all the same," he said. "Stupid, careless, useless. I do not know why the fleet keeps sending you to my station. You cannot do anything right." Stepped forward. "Sir, please listen. The sphere activated when we touched it. It showed us a puzzle and we solved it, and now—" "I do not care about puzzles." Commander's voice was like thunder. "I care about orders. I gave you simple orders. Open the crate. Report what is inside. That is all. But you could not even do that without making a mess." He reached for the sphere. Ho felt something happen. It was not a thought. It was not a decision. It was more like a reflex, like pulling your hand away from fire. His mind reached out toward the sphere, and the sphere responded. A wave of blue light washed over Commander. He stopped moving. His hand was frozen in the air, reaching toward the sphere but not touching it. His eyes were open but empty. His mouth was open but silent. What did you do?" His thought was filled with fear. Ho did not know. He had not meant to do anything. He had just felt the Commander's anger, felt his hand moving toward the sphere, and something inside him had reacted. Walked closer to Commander, she studied his face carefully. "He is not hurt," she said. "He is just stopped, like a machine that has been paused." "Can we stop him?" asked. Ho tried. He focused his mind on the sphere, tried to send a command. "Release him, let him go, wake up." Nothing happened. "I do not know how to control it," Ho admitted. His heart was beating fast. "I did not even know I could do that. It just happened." Touched Commander's arm. It was stiff like a statue. The sphere responded to your thoughts, your fear. You did not want him to touch it, so the sphere stopped him. "But that is terrible," said. "We cannot just freeze people whenever we are scared. That is wrong." Ho agreed, but he was also starting to understand something important. The sphere was not just a device. It was not just a tool. It was a connection between minds. It responded to thoughts, to emotions, to desires. And now it was connected to 3 young cadets who had no idea how to use it. "We need to figure out how to undo this," Ho said, "before anyone else comes." They gathered around the frozen Commander. The sphere glowed softly behind them, patient and silent. Ho tried to remember the visions the sphere had shown him. The ancient civilization. The scientists who had created this device. How had they used it? "Think about the puzzle," suggested. The puzzle was about understanding, about finding the right path. Maybe controlling the sphere is the same. We need to understand what we want and then find the path to make it happen. Ho closed his eyes. He tried to clear his mind of fear and confusion. He focused on Commander, not his anger, not his harsh words, but the person underneath. A tired man running a forgotten station. A man who had probably been young once, probably had dreams once, before the galaxy crushed them. Release him, Ho thought, not as a command but as a wish, a hope. The blue light pulsed. Commander blinked. "What?" He stumbled backward, almost falling. His hand went to his head like he had a sudden headache. "What happened?" I was reaching for." He looked at the 3 cadets, then at the sphere, then back at the cadets. "What did you do to me?" His voice was quiet now, and there was something in it that Ho had never heard before. Fear. Nobody answered. What could they say? Commander straightened his uniform. His hands were shaking, but he tried to hide it. "This device," he said slowly, "it is dangerous. I am calling Galactic Command. They will send specialists. Until then, no one touches it. Do you understand? No one." He turned and walked out of the cargo bay. His steps were unsteady, like a man walking on a moving ship. The 3 cubs stood in silence. The sphere hummed quietly, its blue light reflecting off their young faces. "We are in so much trouble," said finally. Shook her head. "No, we are in something much bigger than trouble." She was right. Ho could feel it. The sphere had chosen them for a reason. The puzzle had been solved in minutes, not days, not years, but minutes. Whatever happened next, their lives would never be the same. The sphere pulsed once more, almost like it was agreeing with him. The next 2 hours were the most confusing of Ho's life. Commander sent a message to Galactic Command. He demanded specialists. He demanded answers. He demanded that someone, anyone, come to Outpost 7 and deal with the strange, glowing sphere that had just attacked him. But Galactic Command did not respond right away. They never did. Outpost 7 was at the edge of known space, and messages took time to travel. So Commander did the only thing he could do. He ordered the cargo bay sealed. He ordered the 3 cubs to stay in their rooms, and he ordered the rest of the crew to stay away from the area. But Ho could not sleep. He lay on his small bed, staring at the gray ceiling, feeling the sphere's presence in his mind like a distant song. It was not loud. It was not demanding. It was just there, humming quietly at the edge of his thoughts. And he could feel and too. Their minds were connected to his now, linked by the sphere's power. He could feel racing thoughts as she tried to understand what had happened. He could feel worry, warm and gentle like a blanket. "Are you awake?" thought came to him clearly. "Yes," he thought back, "I cannot sleep." "Me neither," joined the conversation. "My head feels strange, like there is too much inside it." They talked without words, sharing thoughts and feelings across the station. It was strange but also wonderful. Ho had never felt so close to anyone before. He could feel their emotions as clearly as his own, their fear, their excitement, their confusion. "We need to learn how to control this," said. The sphere responded to Ho's fear. "That is dangerous. What if one of us gets angry or scared? We could hurt someone without meaning to." She was right. Ho remembered the look on Commander's face when he had unfrozen, the fear in his eyes. They had scared him badly, and they had not even meant to. "Maybe we can practice," suggested. "Start with small things. Try to control the sphere on purpose instead of by accident." They agreed to try, but they could not go to the cargo bay. It was sealed. So they practiced from their rooms, reaching out with their minds toward the distant sphere. At first, nothing happened. The sphere was too far away or their thoughts were too weak. But slowly, carefully, they began to feel a connection forming. The sphere's hum grew louder in their minds. The blue light, though they could not see it, seemed to glow brighter in their thoughts. "I can feel it," Ho said. "It is listening to us." They started with simple things, tried to make the sphere's light pulse in a pattern. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. At first the sphere did not respond, but after many tries something changed. The rhythm of the light shifted, matching's pattern. "I did it." Her joy flooded through their connection like warm water. Tried next. He asked the sphere to show the map again, the image of stars and planets that had appeared after they solved the puzzle. The sphere resisted at first, but then the image formed in their minds, clear and beautiful. Ho practiced moving the light, making it brighter then dimmer, making it shift from blue to purple to white. Each success built their confidence. Each failure taught them something new. They were so focused on their practice that they did not notice Commander. He had decided to check on the sphere himself, against his own orders, against his own fear. He was the commanding officer of Outpost 7, and he needed to understand what was happening on his station. When he opened the sealed door to the cargo bay, he did not expect what he found. The sphere was alive with light. Colors danced across its surface, shifting and changing in beautiful patterns. The air around it hummed with energy, and floating above it, projected in light, was the star map, rotating slowly, showing secrets that no human had ever seen. Commander stared. His mouth fell open, his heart beat fast in his chest. And then the sphere noticed him. It was not Ho's fault this time. It was not anyone's fault. The sphere simply sensed a new mind entering its space. It reached out, trying to connect, trying to understand. But Commander's mind was not prepared. He was not calm like the cubs had been. He was scared and angry and confused. His emotions crashed against the sphere's connection like waves against rocks. The sphere reacted. Commander's body went stiff, but this time was different from before. This time, he did not freeze completely. Instead, his body began to move on its own. His right arm rose slowly into the air. His hand formed a fist. Then it opened. Then it closed again. Commander watched with horror as his own body betrayed him. "What is happening?" he shouted. Stop this now." But the sphere was not listening to him. It was confused by his emotions, trying to understand what he wanted, and in its confusion, it was making him move. His legs began to march in place. Left, right, left, right. His arms swung at his sides. He looked like a puppet being controlled by invisible strings. In their rooms, the three cubs felt everything. They felt Commander's terror. They felt the sphere's confusion. They felt the chaos spreading through the station like fire. "We have to stop this." Ho jumped from his bed. "The sphere is out of control." They ran through the station's gray hallways. Their feet echoed on the metal floors. When they reached the cargo bay, they found Commander still marching, still moving against his will. Tears of fear and rage were streaming down his face. "Help me," he screamed when he saw them. "Make it stop." Ho reached out with his mind. He could feel the sphere's confusion, its attempt to understand Commander's chaotic thoughts. The Commander wanted to move, wanted to act, wanted to do something, but his fear was making everything unclear. The sphere was trying to help, but it did not know how. "Calm down," Ho said out loud. "Commander, please try to calm down." "How can I calm down?" The Commander's body spun in a circle against his will. "I am being controlled by a glowing rock." "Step forward. Listen to me," she said, her voice steady and clear. "The sphere responds to thoughts. Your fear is confusing it. You need to focus. Think of one thing, just one clear thought." I cannot think." Commander's arms flapped like a bird trying to fly. Moved closer. His big, gentle presence seemed to calm the air a little. "Sir," he said, "think about standing still, nothing else. Just imagine yourself standing still." Commander closed his eyes. His face was red with effort. His body kept moving, but slower now, more uncertain. "Still," he whispered, "standing still, not moving, just standing." The sphere's hum changed. The confusion began to fade. Slowly, carefully, Commander's body stopped moving. His arms fell to his sides. His legs stopped marching. He stood in the center of the cargo bay, breathing hard, covered in sweat. "You see," said gently, "it listens to clear thoughts. When you stopped being afraid and started being calm, the sphere understood." Commander opened his eyes. He looked at the three young cadets standing around him. He looked at the sphere, still glowing softly, peacefully now. "You three," he said slowly, "you can control this thing." Ho nodded. "We are learning. We are not very good yet, but we are learning." The Commander was silent for a long moment. His face showed many emotions: fear, confusion, anger, and something else. Something that might have been respect. "The cubs," he said quietly, "the useless cubs, you solved a puzzle that controlled me. You saved me from my own fear." He shook his head slowly. "Maybe I have been wrong about you." It was not an apology. Commander was not the type of man who apologized, but it was something, a beginning. The sphere pulsed gently, as if it approved. And somewhere in the distance, traveling through the cold reaches of space, a message was making its way to Galactic Command. A message that would change everything. The galaxy was about to learn what three young humans had done in 5 minutes. 3 days later, the specialists arrived. They came in a large ship, silver and sleek, with the symbol of Galactic Command painted on its side. The ship docked at Outpost 7, and a team of scientists and officers walked out. They wore serious faces and carried serious equipment. They looked at the small, forgotten station like it was the most important place in the galaxy. Because suddenly it was. The leader of the team was Admiral Min. She was an older woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that seemed to see everything. She had spent 40 years in the Galactic Fleet, studying alien artifacts and ancient civilizations. There was not much in the universe that could surprise her. Until today. "Show me," she said to Commander. Her voice was quiet but powerful, like a river that could move mountains. Commander led her to the cargo bay. The three cubs followed behind, nervous and excited. They had spent the last 3 days practicing with the sphere, learning its secrets, understanding its power. But they did not know what Galactic Command would do. Would they take the sphere away? Would they punish the cubs for touching it? Would everything go back to normal? Ho hoped not. He did not want normal anymore. Admiral Min stood in front of the sphere. She studied it carefully, her eyes moving over every surface, every symbol. The sphere glowed softly, peacefully. It seemed to know that something important was happening. "Remarkable," the Admiral whispered. "This design, these symbols, I have seen them before." "You have," stepped forward, unable to hide her curiosity. "Where?" The Admiral turned to look at her. There was something strange in her eyes, not anger but something deeper. Wonder, perhaps, or awe. "There are archives," the Admiral said slowly. "Old records from before humans joined the galactic community. Records of a civilization that existed millions of years ago. The first builders, we call them. They created devices of incredible power, devices that could control ships, machines, even living minds. But they disappeared long ago, and no one knows why." She looked at the sphere again. "This is one of their creations, one of the lost artifacts. We have found others before, scattered across the galaxy, but none of them have ever worked." "This one works," said simply. "Yes," the Admiral nodded. "This one works, because you solved the puzzle that unlocked it." She turned to face the three cubs directly. Her sharp eyes studied their young faces. "Tell me," she said, "how long did it take you to solve the puzzle?" Ho swallowed nervously. "About 5 minutes, Admiral." For a moment there was complete silence. Then the Admiral laughed. It was a small laugh, quiet and surprised, but it was still a laugh. 5 minutes, she repeated. "Do you have any idea what that means?" The cubs shook their heads. The Admiral walked closer to them. "We have found 7 of these devices before, 7 puzzle spheres as we call them. We have spent decades trying to unlock them. The best scientists in the galaxy, the minds from 100 different species, and the fastest anyone ever solved one was," she paused, a strange smile on her face, 40 years. Ho felt his heart stop. 40 years. 40 years, and most of the others remain unsolved to this day. The Admiral shook her head slowly. 3 human cadets, 5 minutes. The galactic community is going to have a lot of questions. Commander cleared his throat. He had been quiet since the Admiral arrived, standing in the corner like a soldier waiting for orders. "Admiral," he said carefully, "what happens now?" The Admiral considered the question. "Now we study, we learn, we try to understand how these 3 young humans accomplished what dozens of species could not." She looked at the cubs again. "You are bonded to this device, yes, connected through your minds." "Yes," answered, "we can feel it and each other." "Then you are now the most important humans in the galaxy." The Admiral's voice was matter-of-fact, like she was discussing the weather. "The first builder's technology is the most sought-after power in known space. Nations have gone to war over a single artifact, and you 3 have not only found one, you have activated it and bonded with it." The cubs looked at each other. They could feel each other's shock through their mental connection. This morning, they had been nobodies, forgotten cadets on a forgotten station. Now they were the most important humans in the galaxy. "What about us?" asked. "What happens to us?" The Admiral smiled. It was a kind smile, though her eyes remained sharp. "That depends on you. Galactic Command will want to study you, of course, but we will not force you into anything. You have a gift now, a rare and powerful gift. How you use it is your choice." Ho thought about everything that had happened. The boring days on Outpost 7. The strange crate floating in dead space. The puzzle that had felt so familiar, like a game from his childhood. His grandmother's voice teaching him patterns he did not understand. Maybe it had not been an accident. Maybe it had all been leading to this moment. "We want to help," he said. His voice was stronger now, more confident. "We want to learn more about the first builders, about the artifacts, about what we can do." Nodded. "There is so much we do not understand." The sphere showed us a map, stars and planets and paths connecting them. There are more artifacts out there, more puzzles waiting to be solved. "And if we could solve one in 5 minutes," added, "maybe we could solve others too." The Admiral studied them for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. "You have courage," she said, "and curiosity, good qualities for the path ahead." She turned to Commander. "These 3 are being transferred to my command. They will train with the best teachers in the galaxy. They will learn to use their new abilities properly, and when they are ready," she smiled again, "they will help us find the rest of the first builder's legacy." Commander saluted sharply. "Yes, Admiral." But as the Admiral turned to leave, she paused. She looked back at the Commander with an amused expression. "I heard you had an interesting experience with the sphere's control abilities." Commander's face went red. "That was a misunderstanding, Admiral. The device was confused by my emotional state." "Ah, yes. The reports mentioned marching, an arm flapping." The Admiral's smile grew wider. "I am sure the footage will be very popular at Galactic Command." She walked out of the cargo bay, leaving Commander standing in embarrassed silence. Tried not to laugh, he failed. Covered her mouth, but her eyes were bright with humor. Ho felt a strange warmth in his chest, not just from the joke but from everything. 3 days ago, he had been nobody. Now he was standing at the beginning of something huge, something that would change his life forever. Commander cleared his throat. "Well," he said stiffly, "it seems you cubs are leaving my station." "Yes, sir," Ho said. The Commander was quiet for a moment. Then he did something unexpected. He held out his hand. Ho shook it, surprised by the gesture. "Do not let the galaxy down," Commander said quietly. "You have proven that humans are capable of great things. Now you must prove it again and again, every day, every puzzle, every challenge." Ho nodded. "We will, sir." The Commander almost smiled. "Almost. Good luck, cubs." As the 3 young cadets walked out of the cargo bay, the sphere pulsed one final time. Its blue light filled the room, warm and bright, like a goodbye and a promise at the same time. They were not cubs anymore. They were the humans who solved the puzzle in 5 minutes. And the galaxy would remember.